There we go. Alrighty. Howdy, everybody. Howdy, RecConners. I hope you've all been enjoying the booth, panels, and wonderful festivities here the last few days. Welcome to RecLeagues, Foundations, Future, and Forward. Today, we'll be talking with 4 of what I would call the founding fathers of the RecRoom Leagues. Over the last year, we've seen a boom in competitive communities here in RecRoom, and in large part thanks to the new RecRoom sponsorship program. Some of you may be curious how this program and the leagues that ran prior to it developed. Others of you are here because you yourself are thinking about beginning the formation of a league yourselves. For that or any other reason, I hope we can share some insight with you on what it takes to build and manage those leagues. Hey, by the way, my name is Zizuar. I'm a manager for the RecRoom Paintball League, one of the oldest, if not the oldest, league here in RecRoom. In addition, I've been a captain, official, and a leader with the Laser Tag League, the Classic Teleport Paintball League, and the well-known PopUp Tournaments group, who were responsible for things such as the Locomotion Bowl. Joining us here today, we have one of the founders and managers of the Paintball League, Joshie. We have the chairman and founder of the LTL, Mr. JerryJFunk. Chief and founder of the Classic Teleport Paintball League, Dwangler, and last but certainly not least, one of the founders of the PopUp Tournaments and the head of RecRoom's sponsorship league program, Gog. Welcome, guys. Welcome. So all 4 of you, thank you so much for dedicating a little bit of your time to meet with us here today. I know all of you are... Oh. I know all of you are very busy, and least of all right now with RecCon going on. I'd like to begin with going down the line here and getting just a brief history of yourselves and your respective leagues. So how the idea and formations of your groups started, and how you yourselves got involved with RecRoom and the cooperative competitive side of the community. So Joshie, why don't we start with you?
Sure. You all can hear me, correct?
Oh, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yep. Okay, cool. Yeah, so the Paintball League started almost as soon as paintball itself started, right? And I wouldn't take credit. Zhang Yi, who's currently a staff member but used to be not, he drove it. He talked to the developers, he organized the prizes, he got them to agree to make the golden pistol, which is the first golden gun that they made. And I mean, the rest is history. Mama Monkey was the second on board, and now she's also staff. And then Drum and I came on board to do the programming for the website. Because we used to operate a website for league signups, and we eventually decided that Discord operation was the way to go. So
yeah,
the old site still stands.
And yeah, do you still have that domain and all? And I think we're looking at possibly building that out a little better. We were going to do it last season, but a lot of things got in the way, so that's still in the plans there.
Yeah, someone should take it over. That I'd be happy. It's just been sitting in my Namecheap account for a long time. So
a lot of people who have joined, especially the original leagues, the Paintball League in particular, have gone on to become staff here with RecRoom. A lot of names we're familiar with that you just listed there.
Yep.
So
yeah, I mean it was the first social organization, like a social event that really happened. Aside from all the other ones Mama Monkey did, like before she was a staff, she literally drove many games. So
awesome.
Really, it's all her.
And I've actually seen an old PBL game that she officiated, and she was really good at it. I took a couple of tips from her on some of my officiating stuff too, as well as G-. G- was my big inspiration for being an official. But Mama Monkey, some of her stuff was very enlightening as well. Jerry.
Well, they had that really cool stream cam back then too, with the
right
views and being able to follow people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those were amazing. I'm sad that they're gone.
Well, you can still use them on the original paintball maps, can't you? Or did they take them out?
You can't follow other players around anymore.
Oh, you can't follow other players. Yeah, that would be really cool to be able to still do that. Jerry, the chairman of the Laser Tag League. Your league was really kind of the next big thing on the block, aside from there were some others like the dodgeball leagues and all, but still running to this day, one of the most successful leagues, LTL. So why don't you give us your insights on how it all started?
Absolutely. Yeah, so I'm Jerry. I joined RecRoom in like early 2017, so close to when it started up. And a group of people, just like a lot of the ways many of these leagues start, group of people that like a certain activity, they get together, they say, hey, we should organize some games. It started like that. There was like 4 or 5 different teams that formed, and we played
Blackout
some,
Squadron.
basically a tournament. And then yeah, and then Blue Blazers actually won season 1, by the way. And then from there we started to get more organized. That's when I took over as commissioner before season 2 started, and we started to put more rules around it and structured it. And I think you have some questions that we'll hit a little bit later about the structure and how it varies from league to league. So I'd love to talk about that too. But that's how we got started, and we've grown every season since the beginning, which I'm really happy about.
Awesome. Dwangler, you started the Classic Teleport Paintball League. That was shortly after walking was introduced. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
I believe that came around season 4-ish of the PBL. After competing against walkers for a while there, realized it was kind of a game-changing mechanic, and we're basically a group of people who missed the more strategic aspect of teleport paintball play, and kind of started our own little group just playing for fun, and eventually ended up getting into the sponsorship program in season 2, I believe. Oh, somebody just went through the floor. But yeah, that's pretty much where we came from. Everybody just likes teleporting.
All right, nice. Gog, you along with Jedi and I believe Horcrux and a couple of others started PopUp Tournaments around season 5 of the PBL. I believe we were in the middle of season 5 whenever that started. And you started off with this great deal called the Locomotion Bowl, which pitted walkers against teleporters. Why don't you tell us a little bit how that came about and some of the other stuff you've done since?
So, behind the creation of pop-up tournaments, back then there wasn't as many leagues, so people wanted to play more games. Like, they were already participating in the paintball league, but it only happens every few months, and it's a 3-month-long event. So people wanted short events that could just participate in the meantime. So we decided to make that to fill in the gaps between seasons.
Awesome. And that first tournament, as well as many further ones, were very successful and a lot of fun. I can attest to that. And now you're running the RecRoom sponsorship league program. So tell us a little bit about how that's going and what it's been looking like. I see it's been booming here this year. Uh-oh, we lost Joshie. We'll get him back in here.
So, yeah, with the sponsorship program, when I was made in charge of it, I guess, there wasn't really a person that was, well, John Gee was watching over it, but he's busy, so they assigned me to it. And I noticed that there wasn't really that many new applications, so I made I forget the name, but it advertised that you can make sponsored leagues and apply for them. So that drove up how many leagues we got.
Mm-hmm.
And once that started booming, I noticed that the player counts were really easy to get to, so I raised that a bit. So hopefully we get larger leagues and a variety of different game modes that everyone can enjoy playing.
Awesome. Oh, we lost Joshie, and I don't know how to get him back in here. Oh, there he is.
Mom, yeah, she said she'd get back. There we
go. Awesome. Thank you. I think we probably need to go through the broadcasting thing again to get him back on there. Did it?
My broadcasting request was denied.
Was it? Okay, let's try it again. Let's see if I can. I thought I hit accept, but
Well, now I can't ask again.
what? Uh-oh. Try closing and reopening it. Maybe it'll. Sorry, guys, just a moment. Yeah, okay,
Lost the film out there today.
it's not letting me reauthorize him to broadcast.
And he's gone.
Okay, well, while we're waiting on that, while we're waiting on him to get back, I'll just get the next question was for him. Well, actually, it's for all of you. So let's go ahead and talk about the management styles while we wait on Joshie to get back. So management styles through all the leagues tend to take on different forms. None is more evident than in the LTL league, where a structure has taken more of a complex nature to it. Jerry, why don't you lay out for us how the leadership structure in the LTL formed and evolved over the seasons, and what would you say are the positives as well as the drawbacks to such a more elaborate team structure?
Yeah, I'll start with the drawback. The drawback, which is probably obvious to everyone on the stage, is that it takes an incredible amount of time to manage. So you need multiple support staff and administrators to really make sure that everything is running the way it should, and also that you're doing it fairly. And the bigger the league gets, bye Joshie, the bigger the league gets, every season, what's interesting is you have an ever ramping amount of problems that come up. Just, different players having issues or, concerns about rules, or people finding loopholes in rules that you then have to amend and put in place in next season. So I would say overall, the way it developed was I knew that right from the start when I took over the league, I wanted to structure it in such a way that it carried on season to season, with like some certain things that continued in teams, right? So it's kind of the exact opposite of a pop-up tournament. It's, God talking about the way people like the pop-ups because you can just jump in, play for one tournament, and then jump out, not worry about it. LTL is kind of the opposite of that. There's really, our teams are less teams and more franchises. And what I mean is, there are what we call the legacy rules. So every season, the captains can go back and retain what we call like signing another contract with a player and keep them on their team. So what we have over time is certain teams have the same couple faces, including new members that come and go as time goes on. I like that because I like the idea of like, you recognizing a team 3 seasons later, you come back to LTL and you're like, oh yeah, I remember the Blazers. Those 2 guys were on them like 3 seasons ago. So it's that's one of the things that is come about. We started a monetary structure really early on. I think a couple of the leagues do that now, where like you're spending a pretend currency to get players, but we've been doing that for a while. We split into majors and minors, and there's like a promotion and demotion system involved too, where you can drop a player down to minors or promote them into majors. So there's a lot of that stuff that's that we've kind of developed over the seasons, and I really enjoy it. I love that whole, maybe it's because I was always into like what do you call them, like sports simulation games where like you build a team over seasons,
Right,
and
right.
that's kind of how I look at LTL. So it's certainly not for everybody, but the people that we have, they absolutely love it.
Awesome. I remember when I first got involved with the PBL, and it was the 3rd or 4th season, I believe, and really I had only heard of it through the grapevine. I played a lot of paintball and had a friend group that I hung out with who were joining it, so it was more of a bring a friend scenario. Was there a recruitment strategy in the early days, or how would you say that the recruitment has evolved over time, Joshie? Oh, but
Can you hear
welcome.
me?
We can hear you. Welcome back, by the way. I think we got the technical issues settled, so thank you for whoever helped out with that.
Yeah, I mean, our early recruitment was we had the Reddit, right? The Reddit was popular at the time, or at least amongst the people. So we had a couple of posts on Reddit right before the season began. We advertised to the RecRoom League official Discord, and the developers used to actually post on their Twitter for Paintball League. So they would advertise the Paintball League. I don't think they still do that, but back when that was the only thing there was, it was more okay. So I think the Twitter was helpful. I think Reddit probably does the most, besides the AIM advertising. So just hanging out in paintball games and then telling people, hey, this thing's coming up, you should check it out, has been, I think, was probably the biggest getter. But then again, the first season was 48 people. So we went from 48 to 96, 100s by the third season. So
Wow. And now we're still maintaining even active in that, more than that, and things like RecCon and things like that help to advertise the leagues. The new sponsorship program, of course. So, wow, the leagues really, in just a short amount of time, all of them I've seen grow tremendously.
right.
Dwangler, you have sort of a niche in the teleport league. For those that
Some
of us
smaller
that,
player base.
yeah, for those of us that started off in Rec Room when everything was teleport only, we love the original, more strategic aspect of it. I think you mentioned that earlier. It is a completely different game being teleport versus walking. So there have also been other teleport-only leagues popping up recently. What would you say is the biggest hurdle to running a teleport-only league, and what advice would you give to the other teleport leagues starting up?
The hardest part is maintaining a steady player base. We've had a fair good turnover of players each season, but with the Rec Room Leagues program, it's brought in a lot of new players, which has made probably the biggest things to balance in a season right now is how you balance the skill gap between the people who've been playing for 4 years and the people who just picked up teleport, in the last year. It's some big curves there, but seems to be working out fairly well. I don't know. We kind of adjust each season to suit based on how many new people we get. But I think last season the Discord server grew by at least 100 people.
Nice.
We were fairly small to begin with, so that was probably about a 40% growth last season, which was good. And all the other leagues popping up is great too, because that's going to get more people familiar with teleport and how much fun it can be when you get into a game where everybody understands that movement, and how to have fun.
Well, I've seen a lot, especially this last season, a lot of people who traditionally are walkers first and walk only, but have joined the Teleport League to just try it out and see what it's about. And many of them have stuck around, and while they may not play it teleport on a day-to-day basis, they've come to enjoy that. Have you seen an increase in people interested in teleport playstyle?
Yeah, well, I remember the final mixer of last season. At the end of the mixer, somebody who ended up playing in the season, but during the mixer, they were like, "Woo! This is the first time I've teleported. I like it," and it was like, "What? Whoa, okay."
Nice.
And then they continued on into the season onto a team. So it's nice to see that kind of thing happening where people can enjoy both play modes.
Along those same lines, Jerry, I believe I saw the other day where LTL is doing like a mini season right now, teleport only. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, you have the paintball league that is mostly walk or all walk. Is that right?
No, it's
And-
mixed. It's
and
mixed.
then-
No.
It is mixed, and then you have the full, teleport. So what we did, we wanted to actually keep it together. So we're doing a half season between our full mixed locomotion seasons, and it's teleport only. And the cool thing that we found is the exact same thing that you were saying. Like, people that don't normally do it and don't plan to normally do it are still like, yeah, I'll play one season like that, and like they're having a blast. And to your point, like, it is a totally different game. It feels like the difference between playing walk and teleport laser tag feels as big as the gap between playing laser tag and paintball. Like that's how different it is to me, at least.
It's a good analogy.
We're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, I always go with teleports like chess and walking's kind of more like checkers.
I agree. I agree.
Both are fun games, and I did a 1v1 before this panel here with a person, and I started off walking, and I was like, I could do this, but I quickly switched back over to teleport because that's what I know. It's what I know. It's what I started with. But both locomotions offer, their strategic values and their level of talent, I guess I would say. So, but the leagues have truly transformed since the original concept started on the platform, none of which is more evidenced by the formation of the RecRoom sponsorship program, which saw official recognition and prizes become a standard offering to groups able to meet the requirements. While the program is still an evolving thing in and of itself, the program offers tools and guidance for both new and established communities. Gog, can you tell us a bit of what tools and offerings the program currently offers, as well as perhaps maybe some of the future plans for the program?
Yeah, sure. So currently what we offer our leagues that get sponsored, we offer a 100K token pool to their winners, which any league, even completely UGC leagues that don't use any RecRoom original items can get the tokens. But for some of our RecRoom original leagues, we give out golden skins that match their game mode. Obviously for newer leagues and completely UGC leagues, this won't be possible, but we do try to get new golden skins constantly.
I did see that there's a new golden backpack. Is that correct for Rec Royale? Or I saw that in one of the booths, I believe. So good example there. And Laser Tag finally got their laser gun golden that they've been trying for many seasons.
Now we're just waiting for the golden grenade or golden shotgun.
Oh, I really would love a golden grenade, but throughout the whole game.
Everybody wants that one.
There's a handbook, if I'm not mistaken, correct, Gog? A handbook that people
there's a handbook. It's primarily for our new league first season, but I plan on continuing to flesh that out to make it a better book that anyone that has no idea on leagues can make their own league by reading what's in it. So continue updating that.
Is there any advice you would give anybody considering starting a league? Any advice you would give them on what they should do to actually start, fleshing that out and seeing?
So, I guess my main advice would be planning to know that people aren't always going to be reliable. Your system, whatever it is, you need to plan to make sure that if people don't show up, it still works. So that means if you have a 4v4 game mode, each team should have at least 6 players on it. So when people don't show up, they can be replaced.
Well, that sort of leads me into another question that I was going to put on the list, but I didn't quite get to. Joshie, you have a lot of experience in this matter where a lot of people don't show up. Matter of fact, the miners, I think you said at one point, were the hardest one to keep stabilized. Can you speak a little more to what Gog was just talking about with activity within the league?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of things around this, right? We have our league separated between, major and minor, essentially. I forget what we actually call them.
Division 1 and Division 2.
Yeah, Division 1, Division 2. And Division 1, we never really had any problems because, people who ended up in Division 1 were, A, quite talented, and B, wanted to play, right? And because they were active, they got drafted to Division 1 teams. Division 2 is where everyone fell through. So we originally tried to keep them like teams of 6, and then by the end of the season, some teams had 2, 3, 4 people bail. So now we favored deeper benches or more teams for Division 2. So there's we calculate out as 8 for 4 teams, and then if there's an overflow to make 8 teams, then we bump it up there with 7 or 8, and that's usually held us strong. And then if we actually do lose a player, we generally try not to replace them because they're off the balance of the auction draft. Unless like that team is so deficient in players that we get signed on, like we say we want to add this player, but we get all the other captains to agree. So there's some level of fairness, not like they brought in a ringer at the end. Because our biggest fear is that someone who would have been drafted for Div 1 joins late and then just crushes in Div 2 because like one player can absolutely shift the balance of a match.
Right.
I think what Dwangler's league has done is actually probably better than what we do because they assign points to fill-in players that are far less than the ones that actually play. We just simply have a win-or-loss record. So.
Right. But there have been a lot of statistics that have been being gathered over the last couple of seasons, and that could go into making a more beneficial system. I'm sure that's something that will be discussed as Season 7 starts getting on the drawing board.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, honestly, honestly, like, unless you have a lot of players in your league, that system's not going to work, right? Like, you need to start assigning points for substitutes. It's probably the only option you have.
There are two different systems also that try and combat this problem. Laser Tag League, you have a different system altogether, as does the CTPBL. So LTL, why don't you, Jerry, tell us a little bit about their system, and then we'll ask Dwangler.
Yeah, so like with most answers you'll hear with LTL, you started off with it that like we kind of have a more complex way of handling all these problems, which is good and bad. But so the way we solve for the missing player thing is we have a bench of players who have registered but not yet joined teams, and we call them free agents. So they're players that are available to be drafted. They have to go through a bidding process, so you still have to spend currency to get them. So in the case where you have somebody that's like better than your average player on the bench because they just registered or whatever, captains still have to like pay more for them to get them. So it helps keep that balance. And then we also do a thing during the first half of the regular season where a free agent can just sub in a match temporarily. So if a team comes up short, somebody couldn't make it, an emergency or whatever, a free agent can just jump in and fill that spot. You know, and there's some stuff that's like admin discretion. You can't have some, like you said, a ringer just hop in and suddenly swing a game for a team. But the other thing that helps too is once we got big enough to have the major and minor league, with the promotion system, you can also sub a minor league player into a major match. So if a major league team's short, you can at least take one of your minors off of your franchise and move them into that match and help play. So it really cut down on the forfeitures that went on in the majors, which is nice.
Okay. And Dwangler, you guys have a bench system. You want to explain the bench system a bit?
Yeah, well, we have a bench system and a point system. Basically, each team is allotted a certain amount of points for their players. So if they want to play a ringer every game all season, they're not going to get the extra points for that player after a certain amount of games. Now, we did have the bench. The biggest issue with that in this last season for us was responsivity. Like there was nobody responding to the bench requests when teams short except for two people, and they were both game-changing
players. Gotcha.
Game-changing ringers. So it was we had to kind of curtail that towards the end and just focus on the points and try and get through it. It's a hard one with trying to. If people aren't playing all the time, they kind of just stop monitoring the server, I think, in a lot of cases.
Mm-hmm.
There was ways for the bench players to get onto teams eventually, but I think we're going to be making a few adjustments to how that works for next season, to try and get it to flow a bit smoother. It'd be nice if we had enough players to have a division or majors and a minor so we could... Well, if anybody wants to teleport, come on out.
Nice. Well... as we all know, RecRoom is an ever-growing and evolving platform. With that growth and the development challenges new features can offer, there come some struggles as well. So some of us are all too familiar with sudden issues arising mid-season as new updates are unveiled. Some of us will be familiar with the death flag respawn issue a few years ago that allowed a ghost to grab the paintball flag and respawn with it in their hand near their goal point. Now,
flag throwing
a flag throwing halfway across the map. Yep.
Yeah.
So as a developer myself, I know these sudden issues are unavoidable, but is there any advice you can give to others out there on how to address and control the effects of these changes when they come up, and maybe share a real world example? Start with Joshie over here.
I mean, it's always funny because it's usually it's usually right at the second, third, or fourth game of the season after the teams have been drafted that suddenly something changes in the game so dramatically that shifts people's talent levels, right? So I can give an example where was popular in the first season. It was this concept of neck dodging. So see how my head doesn't turn my body? Used to be when it was teleport only. If you turned your head, your body would align with your head. So
I remember
you
that.
could effectively dodge paintball by turning your head, by swinging your body up. And a lot of players, Smelly Kid was probably the first that really incorporated this game, but a lot of players incorporated it into their game. And then probably the beginning of second season, they changed that completely when they introduced the walkers. Suddenly bodies snapped to the ground, and it completely shifted the balance of power after the draft is gone. So season 2 is probably the least balanced season out of all of them. And the only thing I can say is you can't really limit those vectors. You just have to accept RecRoom for what it is, right? Which is it's a never evolving game. Our leagues are never going to be stable, and mechanics will change. And you want players who are good at adopting the new mechanics. You should consider it as part of drafting your teams.
Yep, very good advice. Very good advice. Jerry, any examples or?
The things that seem to really impact laser tag are just weird things like all of a sudden grenades have the paintball explosion radius for no reason, and so certain players that are good or bad at grenade throwing are suddenly better or worse. And I think most of that stuff, what we try to do is, number one, keep it positive. We're all here to have fun. We're competing for prizes now. We have a gold skin and tokens, and that's great. But, we're not talking millions of dollars and, contract money. It's a game. And the whole purpose of our league is to just enjoy it and have fun. So we try to just keep games on the same schedule. If it's something truly game breaking, we might, delay a couple weeks. But, for the most part, we do expect it. The game is changing. They're adding, more activities and more features. And whenever you do that, you risk breaking, 3 other things without knowing it. And, to me, the community's been good, and the staff, the support staff with the RecRoom has been great in responding to concerns, and it is what it is. I don't let it bother me.
Right. Dwangler, any examples and how you guys dealt with it?
For us, there hasn't been too much because we've only been around for 3 seasons of gameplay mechanics that have changed. The room creation and setting up our lobbies prior to games has probably been our biggest hurdle to kind of relearn each season, because things have changed and we got to adjust this to make that work. And that's been probably the biggest one there. But again, everybody just comes out for fun. That's the main idea.
Right.
I think your league did something different. So there used to be a grenade flicking bug that I guess is not true anymore, right? But you used to be able to launch grenades across the map. And we said because it's part of the game, because it's possible, we can do it. But I think your league actually shut that down, which in hindsight is probably a better choice.
Yeah, but in our rules we put any game, any glitches or exploits is just basically, if you got to ask if you're okay to do this, you probably shouldn't be doing it. It's a hard one to enforce, but it's there just for extreme cases.
Yeah, and sometimes there's glitches where you don't know if somebody unintentionally did it or intentionally did it. I think we also had one where somebody would throw the flag out of bounds and then glitch walk out of bounds to go grab the flag and retrieve it. And that's one where we shut down immediately, said, okay, you can still throw the flag out of bounds, but you can't retrieve it anymore. It's essentially a dead flag. It has to respawn. So you'll run into things all season long, and I guess we just adapt to it as best we can, really. I'm answering my own question there, but Gog, do you have anything from either the pop-up tournament side or maybe even something that you've run into since being on the sponsorship program?
I don't really have anything that's different from what everyone else has said. Just basically, depending on what has changed, you can make rules around it, like grenade flicking, you can ban that, or, yeah, just roll with the punches, I guess.
I know some leagues are more adverse to changing the rule set mid-season, unless it's something catastrophic. Of course, you're going to have to. Some are more proactive in adopting rules changes mid-season. I don't think there's a right or wrong there, but at the end of the day, like Jerry said, we're all here to have fun, and unfortunately, not everybody's always going to be happy with decisions that are made. But if we can keep a good attitude about it, everybody can still go out there and have fun.
I'll drop one more note on this subject. I'm sorry for delaying it, but
Go ahead.
it used to be that we had that follow camera that you talked about, right? So like when people were breaking rules, it's a lot easier to catch. The problem with policing these things you might consider glitches is that it's impossible to have a film record of it actually happening unless all your players are like also recording at the same time, but most of them don't. So I think that's one of the reasons why we're a little bit more lenient, unless it's super great game breaking. So.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to tell if somebody just dipped below the ground or their space settings are off.
Yep.
And also, we've run into in the past where if multiple people are recording something, the game lags. That's another issue. I think
they fixed that. That used to be a bigger issue than it is now, where like the whole room would lag if particular people were recording. So.
Yep. Well, I know that last season, I believe we ran into a lot of lag issues. It seemed to get better as the season went along, but it was hard to tell if somebody was lagging unless they're just absolutely rubber banding. So sometimes you can't just catch everything, and you can't, sometimes you just have to use players more better nature.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, do we have any questions in the crowd? I don't know if the best way would be for somebody for us to go out into the crowd and find them, or if somebody wants to type them in chat. Might be best to. How about in chat? Anybody want to type a question in chat if you have any? When is the next season of PBL? And that came from Split Moon. PBL Season 7. And we also, Gast also asked, PBL Season 7. Honestly, we have not set a real date for it. I actually believe that, well, Joshie, do you have any thoughts on that before I say anything?
Yeah. I mean, the duel was very busy for the last 2 months. I think that ends now. Like, he's just missed this panel. Like, literally just missed it. So I think we are probably going to try to get the rules adjusted and try to get a draft going within a month and a half's time. Yep. So
that's
sort
of
a good season for it.
It's been my inclination for it as well. I believe I was going to suggest we start doing the rule revamp that we discussed last season next month, and maybe try for November.
Yeah.
So.
But those people bailing, like the bailing problem we were talking about earlier, summer's probably the worst season for it. Like people go on vacation, etc. So it's really hard to actually run a league. We ran one season during summer, and it just wasn't feasible.
We just had the summer rotation, and it was rough. Yeah.
So another question we have is, well, will you do a Rec Rally Cup? Well, none of us up here have actually played the new original. However, as we've been discussing all day long, you can start your own leagues. That's what the sponsorship program is all about. So if you get, whenever the new Rec Original is released, if you love it and you're inclined to start your own league, that might be an awesome thing to get started in. Start doing a Rec Rally Cup.
I can't believe how many questions are coming in.
How can
I've seen a lot of questions about pineapple pizza.
Well, how can I participate in the league? It's very simple. Most of us have Discords that you can join. And a lot of us announce our seasons that way. We do mixers. Almost every single one of us up here do a mixer. There are other leagues that I think they also operate on the mixer program where you
Right.
get together in a community event here inside RecRoom, and you basically sign up. I know for all of the leagues up here, everybody is welcome. Nobody is left out. If you want to come and play, just show up to any of the mixers and sign up, and for the next season, you're in. I don't think we've ever turned
And
anybody away.
I would add to this that if you aren't a competitive player but you still want to participate in leagues, we're often looking for officials, creatives, all the stuff that goes
Definitely
into administrating the
creatives.
league. Yeah.
I use Fiverr for my logo. That was painful.
I think Ava made this. Ava made this logo, I believe, but I don't know who made this particular recreation of it, but the original.
So Jerry, they're also asking, when is the next LTL season?
So we're right in the middle of our teleport-only season right now. That's going to conclude early December, so we'll probably get some information out probably late January for the Season 7 start, which will probably actually start like February.
Okay. What are your... Dark Moon asked an interesting one here, one that I've never actually considered. What are your opinions about seeded mode? I know for one, I have a problem playing any sort of competitive way seeded. What about anybody else here?
I think it'd be a hindrance. But if people are using seated mode to change their avatar's height in game, or is there any way to play with that? I don't know. But yeah, you're not spinning around and rolling on the floor while you're sitting in a chair, so you might have a hard time competing.
I think what they're referring to is the seated mode option where you can crouch easily just by pressing a button, which can make it easier to dodge.
Yeah, LTL banned it for that reason, because you can also flip it on and off mid-game, I think, which is an issue, so we didn't want to mess with it. If we eventually have the ability to shut it off, like via circuitry, that would probably be good, but for now, at least until there's changes made to it, we're not going to use it.
Let's see, what do we have? Chameleon said, why do short contests give out millions of tokens, but leagues get only a few thousand? I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with any of that.
I guess that's a question for me, but unfortunately, I don't control how many tokens the leagues get. But I can ask for more. And
Okay.
I think they'll be more lenient as our leagues get bigger and get more players in them.
Mm-hmm.
They'd be willing to
I'd
give
like
us
to-
some more.
I'd like to chime in on that because I've been asked that quite a few times during the seasons and that sort of thing. I think there's a big difference between people who are creating things and people who are just having fun in a league and playing a game, where awarding tokens to somebody who's created something is more justified than just awarding people who are playing in a league. It's like when I played T-ball as a kid, we didn't all get medals at the end of the season, kind of thing.
You do now.
yeah, you do now.
But I think additionally, right, aside from the fact that creative takes a long time, is that you can do that on your own schedule, right? The problem with the league is that not everyone can commit a whole 3 months to being a participant of a league, whereas like a pop-up tournament or like these creative things you can do on your own time with no time box obligations except for the deadline. So you get a bigger pool of people to participate in that prize pool. So
yeah, I'd like to see streamers, the people who are streaming the games, getting more rewards in the end. Myself, because they are the ones creating the content that helps make your league basically qualify.
Yep.
I will say this to I'll put you on the spot here, is that I often want to give something to the officials or the managers who are doing so much for the league, and they never actually get any prizes. Aside from we used to get the snazzy official shirt, but that was about it. And they most certainly spend more time than any of the players when they actually doing the league. So
I may as well announce a spoiler for my league crew. We actually just had a meeting a week ago, and we talked about taking that prize pool and actually splitting some of it out for the officials. I totally agree.
Oh, I didn't
Well,
know we had
you
that
also
function.
used to
We-
give
we-
the officials like a
I mean, I
Steam
don't know
gift
that we
card
do. I don't-
before sponsorship, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did. Myself and one of my admins, Diddy, we funded some prizes for the support staff just because they were. I mean, they put so much time into it, and we couldn't. The league couldn't function without their help. So
Yeah, we actually incorporated that into our prize pool last season for our streamers from our 100K token pool. It was nice, and we also did start 2DK. Did the NFT? What is that? Yeah,
Non-fungible
NFT,
tokens.
NFT tokens. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So that's kind of a neat thing we're looking at starting to doing as well. But that is out of pocket cost, not
Nice.
in-game cost.
Nice. Here's one. Actually, I have two coming up here. One came from Twitch chat. Gonna ask this real quick. This came from Camagrelia talking about they've gotten positive feedback for their league, American football-based league, but their goal is to get sponsored. So, how did they get their league out there? I can tell you one of the best ways to get your league out there is by going into different clubs here in RecRoom inside the game and just talking to people about it, word of mouth, using social media, Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, any of those. Gog, do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, basically what you said, advertising on Reddit is what we did for PopUp Tournaments, and that seemed to work pretty well. We had a video created that advertised one of our events, and that got a few people in. If you're going for sponsorship, just make sure that you go to our website and then put in a sponsorship application, and then I'll be reviewing those shortly. I've gotten a bunch of new ones, especially with the new RecRoom original game mode that's coming out. So
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. And Gast asked, will there be glitch walk running in PBL? This is actually something that LTL
Came up
dealt
this
with,
season
and
as well.
something that CTPBL was just debating how to deal with all season long. I'll answer that without even asking Joshie, because we just announced a little bit ago that we're going to be talking about the rule set next month. So that is absolutely one of the things the PBL will be discussing. So make sure if it's that hot of a topic to you whenever we start discussing the rule set, feel free to bring it up, especially if it's not addressed. Let's see. Any other questions that I missed?
Tyler Pro had an awesome suggestion that we should totally do.
Okay.
Trying to scroll back up to it.
Well, I also saw somebody said they wanted
I mean,
more
basically-
cooking videos from Jerry.
I saw that too. The suggestion from Tyler was that all of the league managers get together and play games in each of the different modes.
Oh, that's... Actually, I discussed having a manager's bowl at the end of last season. I think I might explore that again this season, where the managers, each of one of the PBL managers, actually makes the selection from both the major or the Division 1 and Division 2 teams. They each make up their own team, and we have just a short little tournament between some of the MVPs. Managers pitted against
We used to do the manager versus MVP match. We did it for 2 seasons, and it was a very one-sided thing. So I'm just going to put that out there.
LTL too.
And another question, when will sponsored leagues be announced by RecRoom themselves? They already have. If you go to the website, it is the recroom.com/sponsored leagues. You'll see a list of all leagues there, and then there's a link also for the application for your league to be sponsored.
Yep, and in addition to that, we're planning on putting in a league channel to our RecRoom Discord that'll allow league managers to advertise their league Discord link, new season openings, current standings, and league winners at the end of their season.
Oh, here's an interesting one, and I think this more will go to Gog because he's more familiar with all the other leagues that have either applied or are already in. What is the most interesting non-RecRoom original based league you've seen?
So I guess I like the basketball league. It's pretty interesting, and they have a lot of rules to govern how that works.
Okay.
It's pretty neat.
Awesome. All right, guys. So next laser tag league song. Nice. Yes, gas. Yes, I will. Okay, so any closing thoughts? I'm going to go down the list here. Any closing thoughts or things that you'd like to share with the audience based on your entire tenure here in Rec Room or with the leagues in general, or just anything you'd like to share? Let's start with Joshie.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things I get asked all the time that we don't have the bandwidth for is we get European players asking about leagues, and they say, "Can we run a division for European players?" And the answer is, like, I know all of us here started leagues, basically started American Time Zone League because that's when we're on and we can play and we don't have work. So I would highly encourage like someone doing this, like our paintball league, but for Europe and running it. I would gladly help. I just can't be the one to do that, and I don't think any of us can. But there's an appetite for it. So that's the biggest one for me.
I've had the same thing mentioned to me about the Screen League, Screen Players League a lot too. I believe even there was somebody, I believe it was Sneaky, who approached me about it one time. So there are other modes out there
like
that are
a
still being
phone league.
explored. a phone league. Yep, Android, iOS only. Gotcha. Jerry, anything you'd like to share?
I don't. Whoa. Not really. I mean, I hope you guys got a lot of the different league managers information. I mean, we're always looking for new players, and like they were saying, not just players, but we have support staff, and we need officials for games, people that want to get into streaming. It's a great avenue to kind of explore whether you have talent or the interest in streaming. We have the other thing too with Laser Tag League, just because we like to make everything more complicated, is every team has like a logo, and we're starting to build some lore through our seasonal promotion videos. So there's a lot of interesting things going on. So even if you don't want to play, you should really check out some of the leagues, because there's a lot that you can do in any of them, even if you're not wanting to competitively play.
Oh, I love officiating. It can get a little hectic, but that's how I got into streaming. That's really where I started getting into more into the leagues. I played a bit, but whenever I started officiating, that's whenever I was all in, and I got the streaming bug. Now I stream everything. Dwangler, anything you'd like to share?
Basically just come out and have fun. That's what it's all about. And whatever you enjoy doing within leagues, try and pursue it. Be it playing, officiating, streaming, managing, social media, and logo design. There's big vacancies for that sort of thing, I think, in a lot of places. Other than that, just have fun.
Administrative help, always looking for administrative help.
Yeah.
Gog, anything from
know
your
how to
end?
run a spreadsheet?
Yeah, I just wanted to say real quick for administrative stuff, if you want to be official for a league, you can earn a exclusive referee shirt that if you stream on 5 separate days, you'll get a black colored referee shirt. And if you stream on 10 separate days, you get a white colored referee shirt.
Can some of us be retroactively put into that?
Yeah. As long as you can. I know that you've earned it, but
I
as
thought
long
you had
as
both those shirts. I would have thought Zizuar would have been the first person to get those.
There was an original. Somebody asked me this the other day, and just a little interesting thing. Wasn't there an original officiant shirt that was like just a white collar or something, or a different color altogether, not different color but different style, that I think they used way back when?
I think that was like season 1. I think I've seen a few people with that, like 2DK.
Wait, what's the difference? I don't know which one I have now.
There's a black collared one. Actually, we can We can do
Hey,
this.
I gotta take off here.
Okay, well, thanks
it's been a
for
blast.
hanging out. We're just about to wrap up here anyway,
Thank you
but
for having me.
so here would be the black colored one.
Mine has a tie. Yeah.
Oh, yours
It has a
actually
black
has a
collar, but
tie
it has
on
a
it.
tie.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
That may
unless
have
it's
been.
different. No, they could have changed. This my picture. I can't. How come I can't just close? It's not letting me load.
All right, guys. Well, this is going to conclude our time here today, guys. Thank you, Joshie, Jerry, Dwangler, who's no longer here, and Gog for your time. And thank you all for joining us. We hope you found the panel entertaining and enlightening. If you have any interest in joining one of the leagues represented here today, or one of the many other sponsored leagues, there's plenty of others out there. Or you're just interested in starting a league of your own, be sure you check out the official webpage for the sponsorship program. Head on over to RecRoom.com/sponsored leagues. Each of us have Discord communities you can join and hang out with us, as well as other social media platforms and content channels such as YouTube and Twitch. A lot of us also stream. We hope to see you all as this amazing cooperative and competitive community continues to grow. And hey, we hope you enjoy the rest of your RecCon experience, guys. Thank you so much for joining in. Goodbye.
Thanks, guys. Zizuar, thank you.
No, thank you.
Good job hosting. Joshie, Gog, good seeing you guys.
So it's a lot of fun, guys.
Yeah, that's cool. Join Laser Tag League. Join Laser Tag League. What's up, boys?
Yep.
Ready? Play a little laser tag? Huh?
Yeah.
Couple quick
Yeah, I've
games?
seen your.
Couple quick games?
Yeah, I think you guys put in an application. I'm going to be reviewing those next week.
Not bad
So
out there.
I'll be looking at your
Did it
leagues
go
and
good?
stuff next
Awesome.
week, and then,
Thanks for
Yeah.
coming, buddy.
I
Sounds
can't
good.
hack it again.
Yeah, no problem. Adding me on Discord, I'll invite you to the server if you want.
All right.
How everything is.
Yeah, sounds good. I